It's William Gheen. He's with Americans for Legal Immigration out of North Carolina. Let's have a big round of applause. Thank you.
I'm William Gheen of ALIPAC, Americans for Legal Immigration PAC. We are a national organization. I live in North Carolina. You couldn't pay me enough to live in Washington, D.C. My family came to North Carolina from Pennsylvania a little over 100 years ago. If you find a piece of furniture with the name Gheen on it, keep it, you've got something. We are a national organization, and our largest support base comes from what we call the border disaster areas. Southern California, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. You're all part of the border disaster areas now because the borders have been opened against your will. But it is a great honor and privilege for me to be here in what we now call historic Hazleton. The country is with you. Thank you, Hazleton. Thank you on behalf of the United States and the majority of her legal citizens. Thank you for standing up. We know the country is with you. Before there were nations and empires, it was the cities, it was the towns that defended her people. And even after we had nations, the fundamental defense of the people were in the cities. And as we have this conversation, our activists with ALIPAC are working hard to spread Hazleton around the country because you started the landslide that now involves over 200 cities and towns across the country. We need it to be 2,000 next week. Now, I want to talk about crime and disease for a second because I understand that your city council and mayor have faced some criticism over, do illegal aliens cause more crime? Go ahead and laugh a little louder. Do you know the answer to that question? It's common sense, but let me tell you how easy this was. I picked up the phone on the way here today and I called our press director, Mr. Palmer, and I said, Jim, give me the per capita murder rates to some of the countries to the south of us. I want to know where they're at compared to the United States. And topping the list as the most dangerous nation on the planet is Colombia, whose murder rate per 1,000 people is approximately 15.3 times higher than the United States of America. That's 1,530% higher. Let me ask you a simple question. If you bring in 1 million people from these countries, is it going to increase your crime rate? Yes. It makes common sense. And matter of fact, the rates of criminality, you've got people, we judge people in America not based on their gender or race or religion. We judge people on what you do. And illegal aliens have broken a series of laws. They broke the law when they crossed the border. They broke the law when they stole your identity, wrecking your life. They broke the law when they took a job they weren't supposed to have and made a lawbreaker out of their company. These people have shown a pattern of disrespect and a pattern of criminal behavior coming from gang rule areas where there is no law. And that is what our nation is becoming like, because it's common sense that when you inject that into a nation, that's what your nation becomes like. And let me tell you, in Mexico and Point South, the other crimes are off the Richter, and rape and gang rape are so prevalent that we don't even know the scale of it because they don't even report it. They don't even report it in lots of places when the gangs steal their children to be sold into sexual slavery. And it's not because the mothers and fathers of Mexico don't love their children. It's because if they touch that phone, the whole family's gone. That's what happens when you allow corruption like what we're seeing in this country right now to propagate. Disease. Everybody heard the news about tuberculosis lately? Anybody? One guy on a plane. Whew, we got a problem. Well, I got some news. According to some rough math I did 20 minutes ago, we're getting 4 to 10 TB active cases rushing across our southern border every night. How did I get this number? Had Jim pull up the per capita tuberculosis rates. In America, we have about 3 cases per every 100,000 people. In Mexico, it's 27 cases. In Honduras, it's 99 cases. That's 33 times the U.S. rate. 3,300%. In Ecuador, where we get quite a few illegal aliens, 202. That's approximately 67 times the tuberculosis rate in the United States. Does it make common sense that if you have 1 million people coming from Mexico and Ecuador, that your TB rates are going to go up? Yes. Hazleton, do you want the nation to hear you? Yes. Do you want these sellout senators to hear you? Yes. Do you want George Bush and Michael Chertoff to hear you? Yes. Then let's tell them, do you want the border secured? Yes. Do you want employers fined? Do you want taxpayer benefits taken from illegal aliens? Yes. And do you want your local police and cities and towns enforcing immigration law? Yes. I know for a statistical fact that over 80% of Americans agree with you. Do you want the illegal aliens to go? Yes. They must go. And I'll tell you why. Because that is what the current law says is to happen. You do not change the laws for these people and not American citizens, and the main reason they have to go is because that is the only thing that will turn off the flow of illegal aliens into this country. That's the only thing that will do it. You must have immigration enforcement credibility. And George Bush, you have no immigration enforcement credibility. The border guard that didn't stop the guy with tuberculosis probably got word that doing your job as a border patrol agent will get you put in jail. I want to wrap this up, and I want to thank you again for letting me be here in historic Hazleton. This is not the left and the right squawking about an amnesty bill. This is, and don't let anybody convince you anything different, this is the majority of America's legal citizens versus the sellouts and the traitors in Washington, D.C., and we want you to hear us because we're going to take our country back town by town, state by state. We will take it back one block at a time, and we will restore the rule of law. Everybody come visit us at alipac.us. Thank you, Hazleton.